Hello, it's me Dipesh, and today I'm making video alone in the topic of foreign student getting problem in South Korea or disappointing things as an international student in South Korea. As an international student, it is often hard to adjust to new surroundings and thrive within them. And this video aims to give you a non-based perspective of the big problems and pitfalls that come with living in Korea as an international student. The goal is to prepare prospective international students for the life ahead in Korea. Let's talk about some problems or disappointing things as an international student in Korea. First, the expectation versus the reality of university life, the high cost of living, the difficulty of making friends, the pressures to succeed, the homesickness, the language barrier. Let's talk about the problems or disappointing things as an international student in South Korea and their solutions. First, the expectation versus the reality of university life. For many international students, university is a time to experience new things and learn about different culture. Unfortunately, this isn't entirely the case in South Korea. Universities here can be very competitive and students often have to put their studies first, which can make it tricky for them to have a social life. Many students come with the dream of traveling around Korea. If you are like the typical international student who has to work from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. or even later, then you might have to learn ways to achieve a good work-life balance. Try to take the necessary break to avoid breaking down. Despite the pressure you might get from your professor, you can still make time to travel if you wish. Second, the high cost of living. South Korea is a relatively expensive country to live in, and this can be a shock for international students who are used to the cheaper cost of living in their home countries. From the high cost of rent to the cost of food and travel, it can be difficult to make ends meet on a student budget. Studying in South Korea can be expensive, especially if you are paying for your tuition and living expenses. This can be a financial burden and it can make university life feel very stressful. There are, however, ways to cut down on the cost, especially if you live in smaller city. You can team up with friends and rent an apartment off campus. This can be the solution for you. You can also live close to the school to avoid spending on transportation. Unless it is impossible, try to cook your meal. The typical Korean culture is to order every meal, which is super expensive to maintain. Above all else, try to live within your meal. Third, the difficulty of making friends. Most of the time, it can be difficult to make friends as an international student in South Korea, as many people there are tend to stick to their social group. This is especially terrible if you are an introvert. This can make it hard to find people to connect with and lead to feeling of isolation and loneliness. To avoid it or to solve this situation, try to volunteer for any university program involving international students. Ask for help even if you don't need it. Many universities offer free Korean language programs. Join such classes and engage with others. If this is possible, seek out people of your nationality and try to forge a friendship. If you do not make any effort, you could find of loneliness and isolation. There will be no one to come your assistant when the need arises. Fourth, the pressure to succeed. There is a lot of pressure on students in South Korea to succeed, both academically and in their future career. This can be a lot of pressure to handle and can make university life feel very daunting. For example, it's not uncommon for a student to pull all-nighters before exams, and the competition for job is very fierce. This is especially true when there is a scholarship, a stock, or a project to be won. Many times the pressure is mounted by the supervising professor to meet a specific deadline. Deadlines could make you lose your minds. When it gets too tough, take a break and retreat so you do not lose your mind. This is the solution for you. If you can speak to your professor about the way you feel. Fifth, the homesickness. It's common for international students to feel homesickness while studying in South Korea. This can be due to cultural difference, difficulty of making friends, or simply because you miss your home and loved ones. As previously recommended, try to volunteer for programs involving international students. Talk or walk or go to a cafe, you will meet someone interesting. The last one and the main problem for all international students in South Korea, I think, and I also faced this problem, the language barrier. Many international students home countries have a very different language and culture from South Korea. This can make it difficult to communicate with people and can lead to feeling of frustration and isolation. While this is true, nowadays there are so many language translation apps that can assist you if there is no Korean English speaking person around. Keep Papago close by and at least until you can understand enough Korean to get by. Korea is amazing because as a foreigner you can comfortably live there for 10 years without understanding Korean. Most of the signs on the subway, trains and even buses have English translation. Restaurants' menus have an English translation. You can check out malls by yourself using the English option. Even the online stores provide English language support to help you get by. There are also many delivery services like Kupang Eats where you can order meals when necessary. So despite the language barrier, you can still thrive.